I was going to do a video on Emma Watson's speech, but I think that it's past the point by now, and quite frankly there are other people that have said exactly what I was going to say about it, so at this point I would only be repeating what other people have said. But instead, we're going to turn our attention to the Sunday Telegraph, who published a response, or a letter should I say, from a 15-year-old boy. Now, they abridged Ed Holton's letter, so we're going to read the longer one. And I'm sorry, Ed, but you have not yet experienced the world. I highly recommend you look into what we call the free market, and you actually look into what some of these, feminists are actually saying, because there are some quite reasonable feminists, and then there are the batshit insane crazy feminists, because #KillAllMen is a thing. But anyway, we'll get into the letter. I recently had a religious studies lesson where we talked about gender and the role it plays in modern society. I don't know why you'd be talking about that in religious studies, because, the last time I took RE we actually talked about religion. Having watched Emma Watson's speech about gender equality the night before and agreed with everything she said, I was disappointed by how ignorant some of the other boys in my class were. I'd call you on ignorant more the fact that that is your opinion of your other classmates. I'd say that you actually disagree with their opinion and that you are dismissing them by calling them ignorant. Again, you haven't put what they're saying, you've just called them ignorant, which is dismissive. He goes, I attend an independent all-boys school in Hertfordshire. Oh, well, we'll get onto this later, but that's important to know. I felt compelled to write down my views of gender equality, although I'm not sure how well they would be received by my people at my school. I want to share it somehow, so here it is. If we really want equality, that's called egalitarianism. We're lucky to live in a Western world where women can speak out against stereotypes. Stereotypes exist for a reason. And there's a whole, we could do an entire video on why stereotypes exist, but needless to say there's lots of, literature reasons, culture reasons as to why they exist, and trust me, stereotypes are not going anywhere. It's a privilege, not really, it's more a right, and it's called freedom of speech. Gender equality and feminism is not about man-hating or the idea of female supremacy. And there are plenty of feminists who agree with those ideas. Again, sorry Ed, you're 15, you'll learn. It is by definition the opposite. The definition of feminism is a person who believes in the social, political and economic equality of the sexes. Well, it's actually the one sex, feminism, it's in the word. Hence, if you want equality, you should be in egalitarianism. It's pretty simple, really. And if you believe, though, in those things, then you're a feminist. You can believe in those things and not be a feminist. Again, I don't think feminism is relevant anymore because, again, as you said, we live in a Western world, and guess what? The sexes are equal. But again, we'll get into that later in your response. Where were we? Yep. Feminism can also be interpreted as a woman owning her sexuality, in the same way men do, wearing clothes that make her feel good about herself or that show off her body. Not for the attention of men, without being called a slut, and without the freedom from threat of rape because she wants to. Okay, Ed, two things you want to look up: sex-positive feminism and the sex-negative feminism, and something called the feminist sex war, because these two types of feminists do not agree. In fact, a sex-negative feminist would vastly disagree with the statement you just made. But no, I agree. Women should be allowed to wear whatever the hell they want. Again, it's not me for this, I should have absolutely no input on what a woman wears. Like I say, wear whatever the hell they want. The threat of rape, yeah, no one should be getting raped at all. Again, but that's common sense. That's not really feminism. That's, it's common sense. Recently, we've been hearing about what it means to be masculine and what it means to be feminine. It means nothing, barring biological differences. There are things called masculine ideals and there are called feminine ideals. In fact, there are vastly, probably two schools of thought out there where things can be divided into masculine and feminism traits. In fact, I attended a business talk recently about a guy who said that now business is going from a shift of masculine traits and is going into what is perceived to be feminism traits. But again, it depends what you apply these terms to. By perceiving these two words as anything other than the description of a human genitalia. Yeah, feminists bang on about the fact that all the time. Again, I couldn't care less what you've got swinging between your legs. It doesn't matter. We perpetuate a stereotype which is nothing but harmful to all of us by using words such as girly or manly. I don't really think these words are harmful at all. Again, calling something, you can call doing something that a man does girly. You can call something that a female does manly. And, it doesn't matter how you use these words. You can use them whichever way you want to. I don't think words in themselves actually harm anyone. Again, if you're using them, if you are applying them in a derogative term, then yes, of course, there will probably be the thing. But I highly doubt these people are, being effective. Again, stereotypes exist for a reason. We inadvertently buy into gender stereotyping whether we like it or not. Who cares? Again, stereotypes exist for a reason. We live in the gender stereotype without realising it. We have been born with it. We played with toys designed for our genders. Anyone else ever go out and, buy their own toys? I think everyone should have their hand up at that point. We all buy our own toys. We all ask, when we were young, we asked our parents for that particular toy. And again, that came down to marketing, not the fact that it was gendered. But children will play with any toys they want. But when it comes down to which toys they want, then there is a gender game into play, and that comes down to marketing. And guess what? If you don't apply that marketing, stuff doesn't sell. We go to schools which are segregated. No, your parents, as I said at the top, your parents made a conscious decision to send you to that school. And again, there's nothing wrong with segregated schools between men and women. If you know, again, it was your parents' conscious choice to send you to that school, where apparently you live in an all-boys school. If you want to go to a non-segregated school, then you should talk to your parents about sending you to a non-segregated school. Where are we? Yes, we go to schools which are segregated. We play sports with which other genders do not. Again, there is a reason for that. There is a biological reason why some sports are segregated. And it takes some mindfulness for many people to even acknowledge its existence and the injustice it entails for both genders. Except there is an injustice. For example, again, look at the Olympics and why they are, again, Ed, look into the Olympics and look into the reasons why men and women are segregated. Why there are men-only sections and why there are female-only sections, because there are biological differences which basically mean the women at the end of the day could not compete against the men. You've only got to look at you know, the weightlifting as a prime example. You know, even, you know, you can look at the super heavyweight, you can look at the differences of the lifting that goes on in the super heavyweight lifting of the men and the super heavyweight of the females. There's gender and biological differences. That is why sports are segregated. Again, only look at the tennis serves between men and women. There are differences. Now, yes, there are mixed doubles, but again, there are strategies and ways to cope around and make up for the things that happen. Like, the guy always serves. It's never the woman who serves. Again, there are huge things for that. I have problems with your letter, Ed, and it's because you haven't grown up in the world. You haven't lived in the world yet. Sorry, Ed, you haven't. Where are we? Yes, if we want equality, it will take more than paying women the same as men or giving women equal opportunities to men. Well, that is equality. You know, women are paid the same as men, and women have the same, you know, opportunities as men. At what point, you know, they have everything, potentially. They are equal. So I have to ask, what more do you want? You know, this is the problem I have with people when they, you know, they come saying, oh, we're not equal. You're absolutely equal. You know, a woman has exactly the same right as I do. There is nothing separating us at all. I have met many female business owners that own their own businesses. They have the exact same, you know, rights and opportunities that I've had, and yet, you know, they've, you know, started their own business, and, you know, they're doing well. If we really want equality, we must all make an active decision to abandon phrases such as what it means to be masculine. And then, should we also be abandoning the phrase of what it means to be feminine as well? And if we really want equality, we must try our best to ignore gender and stop competing with one another. And stop comparing ourselves to each other, particularly other people of the same gender, because that leaves us with a feeling of insecurity and self-doubt. Welcome to the free market, Ed. When you leave school and you enter the workforce, you will be competing with not only other men, but other women for a job, roles within your work environment, and you will be competing with them until you retire. That is a fact of life. It's what we call the free market. And again, if you go out and you start your own business, you will be competing with other men and other women to make your business successful. Competition is not evil. Competition is very good. And yet, there are lots of feminists who hate the idea of competition. That's how it goes. We must stop pressuring each other to fit with this stereotype. Again, there are negative stereotypes, but there are also positive stereotypes. Again, stereotypes exist for a reason. And, you know, they are not going to go away. Just because you say, oh, we shouldn't, fit to these stereotypes, new stereotypes will come in and take over the ones that leave. More often not. Sorry, I've lost my place again. We must stop proceeding to the stereotypes, which more than often not leaves us feeling repressed and unable to express ourselves. Not really. Self-expression takes many forms. And, under various, different regimes, even look at, the communist regimes, there was forms of self-expression. Again, gender doesn't and shouldn't play any part in any creative process unless you are going for that thing. But the problem is, feminists want the right to be able to go, that piece of art or work should not exist because I find it offensive. And that is the massive problem with current day feminism, or what I like to call fourth wave feminism. Yeah. And most of all, if we really want equality, which we do have, we've achieved it. Women, a woman in the UK, since you're from St Albans, has exactly the same. But you're in an all-male boys' school, and it's definitely a private school. People who are private school educated have a massive head start against, people who are public school educated. So you need to check your own privilege, first of all, because ultimately you are ahead of not only other guys against anyone that's public schooled, but also against the other, females that are public schooled. You have an advantage against them. Again, welcome to the free market. We need to stop calling and stop caring about gender. Many of us do, but, feminists care about the fact, gender. Again, I've already said, who cares what you've got, between your legs? It doesn't matter. Stop caring about another person's sexual preference. Again, I agree, it doesn't matter. Stop caring about how far someone fits with the stereotype. Again, it doesn't matter. But again, you can go out into the world and guess what? A lot of people conform to the stereotypes without even thinking about it. Again, stereotypes exist for a reason. And we must stop caring, most of all, about how much we fit the stereotype. We must not let gender define us. Again, I agree. Gender doesn't define us, but it does make up part of what we are and who we are. Again, Ed, you go to an all-boys school. Again, that is definitely a private all-boys school. Again, you have an economical and social advantage because of that. Again, this is what we call the free market. It's what we call capitalism. Ed, I really don't think you understand the world and how it works yet, but you will do when you enter the world of work. It'll be interesting to talk to you in a couple of years' time and see how your views have changed on this. Because I guarantee you're 15 that the Ed of 25 would not be writing the same letter.